Okay, we are ready to start our math lesson for Wednesday. We're going to begin today with our success criteria. What are we learning today? I want you focusing, paying attention so you know how to be successful today.
Before today, we have been looking at fractions that just have the same denominator and also looking at fractions that have the same numerator. Today, we are going to mix it up and we will be working both with fractions that have the same denominator and fractions that have the same numerator. We will be looking to make sure that you can justify the conclusions based on your realization if they have the same numerator or same denominator. We will be using our vocabulary to justify comparing to the whole number, using the words denominator, numerator, and fraction, and making sure that we have a good understanding of these vocabulary words to help us sort and compare fractions today.
Okay, so first we compared fractions with the same denominator. Then we compared fractions with the same numerator. And today we're going to be mixing it up. You're going to have problems. You're going to compare fractions with the same numerator. And then you might see a problem where you compare fractions with the same denominator. So it's getting really tricky today as we mix it all up. On slide 2, we have a learning video. I am going to play the video. I want students focusing on how we can learn today, how we can think about doing both of these skills when our problems are mixed up. I'm looking for bodies that are showing with their eyes, their ears, and their brain that they are ready for learning. That means your eyes should be over here, looking at our video, ready to go.
Hi, this is Yvonne from Kiwi Math, and this video is about the strategies for comparing fractions that are used in 3rd grade. And this is what is actually built upon in 4th grade, so 4th graders need to know these strategies plus more, but we're just focusing on the 3rd grade strategies. So the first strategy is called common denominators, and we use this strategy when we have 2 fractions that have the same denominator. In this case, the denominator is 6. And in order for us to figure out what's more, 4/6 or 2/6, we have to think about what the denominator actually means. So if we take a look at both of the wholes that we're talking about, right? The whole for 4/6 and the whole for 2/6. Both of these wholes are cut into 6 pieces, 6 equal pieces, which means that the sizes of the pieces in each whole are the same. And that's what our denominator means. It actually tells us the size of the piece. So if both wholes are cut into 6 pieces, then we have to take a look at the numerator. And what does the numerator actually tell us? It tells us the number of pieces that we're looking at. So in the case of 4/6, we're looking at 4 pieces that are the size of 6. In the case of 2/6, we're looking at 2 pieces that are the size of 6. And therefore, you can see visually that the 4/6 is greater. And if we think about that conceptually, if we think about the denominator being the size of the pieces, then anytime there's a common denominator, the greater numerator, which is the greater number of pieces, is going to be greater.
Okay, this is a skill that we have worked on for lots of lessons together. And we were really good at comparing fractions when the denominators are the same. We have to think about the unit fraction, right? 1/6 plus 1/6 is less than 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6. We are really good at that. Now she's going to show us the other way to compare fractions when the numerators are the same. That's when it starts to get more tricky. Let's remind our brains, focusing our brains on how do we compare fractions when the numerators are the same, but the denominators are different. I need to see all pairs of eyes looking this way, showing with your body that you are ready to focus and review this skill. Here we go.
Anytime there's a common denominator, the greater numerator, which is the greater number of pieces, is going to be greater. Let's take a look at our second strategy. This one is called common numerators. And this would be used when we have two fractions that have the same numerator. So in this case, the numerator is 4. And again, let's reiterate from before that the number of pieces is what the numerator means. So this means that we have 4 pieces that are the size of 6ths and 4 pieces that are the size of 8ths. So if we have the same number of pieces, if I have 4 pieces and you have 4 pieces, which one is greater? And in order to answer that, we have to look at the denominator, which tells us the size of the pieces. So let's just take a look at what 6th would look like. This is our whole, and it's cut into 6 equal pieces. And now we're going to take the same exact size whole, and we're going to cut it into 8 equal pieces. And what you could see is that one piece that's the size of 6th is greater than one piece that's the size of an 8th. And why is that? If we're taking the same size whole and we're splitting it into more pieces, each of those pieces is going to be smaller. Therefore, if you have a greater denominator, each piece is going to be smaller. So if we know that one piece that's a 6th is greater than one piece that's an 8th, then if we have 4 pieces of each, you could clearly see that 4/6 is greater than 4/8. So again, we want to think about the number of pieces that we have is the same. So what's different is the size of the pieces, and the fraction with the smaller denominator gives us the bigger size pieces, and therefore that's the greater fraction.
So then we talked about this strategy, how you can compare fractions that have the same number of pieces, but the pieces are different sizes. The parts are different sizes. And we have a saying that helps us. Remember Ms. Sharp saying, the greater the denominator, the smaller the piece. So when we look at this example, 8 is the bigger denominator, but 8 is a smaller part. When you have to share between more friends, you get a smaller piece. Angela, yes.
I'm getting really confused because 8 is greater than 6.
It's backwards, isn't it? So 8 is bigger than 6, but look at our models, Angela. The top one has 6 equal parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Imagine if you had a pizza and there were 6 people that were going to share it. Now imagine we have that same pizza, but now there's 8 people who want to eat the pizza.
Oh, no.
You're going to get a smaller piece, right? Because there's more people who are going to share.
Yeah.
So look at our model that shows 1/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Those pieces are smaller.
Yeah.
Because there's more parts. So when you look at denominators, it seems backwards. 8 is actually the smaller piece. 1/8 is smaller than 1/6.
Yeah, that seems backwards.
It does seem backwards because it's a fraction. When we talk about whole numbers, 8 is bigger than 6. But when we talk about fractions, we're talking about dividing into smaller pieces that are less than one whole. Yes, Kellen.
More parts, and we use them that way.
Right. When there's more parts, we actually have a smaller part.
Yeah.
Great job focusing on this video that reviews the skills we're using today. Now we are going to go into our seesaw task together. And we are going to start looking at some mixed up problems. Some mixed up problems.
It sounds like
Mixed. We're mixing up our problems. Now we're going to do both strategies today. Here we go. Click on slide number 3. Slide number 3, we're going to warm up our math vocabulary. Here we go. I see 4 fractions. 2 of them are written as a fraction. 2 of them are represented with a model. And we have a question that's kind of like a riddle. It says, which ones go together? you need to study the fractions and study the models. And I want you to put in your head which ones you think go together. Which ones would be a pair and why? Think about that why. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to study this, and then we're going to share out together using our math vocabulary. 2 minutes to study and think which ones go together. We are ready to share out your opinion, your idea of which ones go together. When you share your opinion with the class, you need to be ready to use some math vocabulary. I'm going to be listening for math vocabulary as you explain why. Remember, there might be more than one correct answer. This is just what you think. I'm looking for friends who are ready to share about which ones go together. Angela.
So the one-third goes with one-third this one.
Can you help me out by pointing to my screen? 1/3 goes with what?
One-third goes there.
So Angela says these go together. Okay.
I see.
Who can build on Angela's idea? If you were thinking something similar, who can use the math vocabulary to explain why?
Western.
Ashley.
The only thing that is wrong is that it says that there's two pieces highlighted, but right there it says one. So and the other one pieces.
So Angela says these go together. Why might she be saying that? Who can use some math vocabulary to explain how these two can go together? Nick?
This two spaces highlighted, and there's supposed to be one highlight.
So what math vocabulary can we be using to describe what's going on in this model? Gloria. So I'm hearing everybody say the same thing, that this is showing two highlighted parts. This only shows one. So why could these go together? Get your brain going, Kaylee.
If two highlighted doesn't mean it's wrong.
Why do these two go together?
It was already highlighted. It was all of them was green, so
The denominator?
they crossed off one green.
Okay, so if two parts are green, what would be the name of this part?
That's the farthest.
Day, what are you thinking? It's 1/3, right? Each unit fraction is one part of the whole. So Angela identified that this is a unit fraction, and she saw that there was a white part that matches the unit fraction. A bunch of us are looking at the green parts and we're thinking, well, this numerator must be wrong. It should be 2/3. Remember, you can also count parts that are not highlighted or shaded. That's very tricky. Okay, I want you now to look at these two. How can these go together? Think about numerator, denominator, unit fraction, greater than, less than, or fraction. How could these two pictures go together? Put an idea in your head.
What do you see?
Can you see, Landon?
Denominator numerator.
Which one is this? Which one is the 5?
Not really, but the numerator.
Oh, it's 5 the numerator or no?
Okay, you've had some time to think. How could these go together? Theo, what are you thinking?
Why does that go with this one?
So,
Shows the number
on the
of
bottom
pieces.
one right next to the fraction,
Okay, so there's 2 parts that are white. How does that go with our written fraction? Theo started us. Who can build on his knowledge to explain? There's 2 parts that are white. How does that go with our other stuff, Kaylee?
It doesn't go. It's 5.
What's 5? Numerator or denominator?
The denominator.
So down here, the denominator is 5.
Actually, it does go, but because the numerator is 2 and they cross out 2 like they do.
Okay, so there's 2 white parts, which would match this.
It's 1 5.
Both of them would be 1/5, right? And when we put them together, that's 2/5. Maverly, what were you going to share? Right. Yes, great thinking, Maverly. That is a good exercise. Again, boys and girls, I heard a lot of people using words that were not math vocabulary.
Listen to what she's saying.
Remember, when you explain something in math, it's really important that you can use our math words so that everybody knows what we're talking about. If you're using words like, oh, that one right there, which one? Which one are you talking about? But if you tell me the numerator, oh, now I know to look at the numerator, right? Vocabulary helps us all understand what we are learning. That's very important. Please join me on slide number 5. Slide number 5, please.
Number 4.
Yes, Angela.
Are we skipping number 4? He just said that.
The direction was to please go to slide number 5.
Good job.
Yes, we're skipping number 4. Please make sure you're sitting in your chair correctly. 3rd grade expectations. We're having to pause because there's multiple bodies not quite ready. Thank you for raising your hand. Yes. You can just leave it in case we come back to it. Gloria, you're showing you're ready. Thank you so much. On slide number 5, we have some pairs of fractions that can be moved around. Oh, we're pausing again because not all pairs of eyes are ready. These pairs of fractions are going to be moved into one of 2 categories. We're going to sort them. On the left side, it says they have the same numerator. On the right side, it says they have the same denominator. We are going to begin by sorting these into the correct column. Let's do 1 together. 1/2 and 1/6. Do these have the same numerator or do they have the same denominator? Theo, what do they have in common? So we will move it to the side that says same numerator. Yes, and 1/6, and 1/2. Please take 1 minute and sort these into the correct column. You may do that now.
We said this one has the same. Now, you're doing yours here.
All right, ready in 3,
Pick one. and
2,
pull it down.
1. When I call on you, you may read a pair of fractions. You're going to read it to me and tell me which side it goes on.
That go on.
You ready?
Denominator.
Okay, Day.
4 and 4. Okay. Good. Pick another one. Pick another one.
I'm going to fraction is a numerator.
1/8 and 5/8 have the
It's the
same denominator. Well done reading them correctly and giving me an
Put
explanation.
it there.
Who else has one to share out? Nick.
I'm going to pick.
3, 6, and 1, 6.
What's it go? Numerator, denominator.
Right. Which one's the same?
Awesome.
Numerator
Good
or
use of
denominator?
vocabulary and reading them correctly. Alicia.
So this is numerator here.
Denominator.
Oh, is the
Sorry, I
denominator the
couldn't
same?
hear Alicia because somebody was pouting that they weren't called upon.
So the numerator is the same.
Still pouting and rolling eyes. There is more than one person in the class.
This one has the same
I'm
numerator.
happy to call on you when I can hear others.
Move it.
I still am hearing your voice on. Please sit down.
Stop it.
Alicia, try again, please. Same denominator. Thank you. Ashley. Excellent math vocabulary.
Numerator is the same.
Angela.
This.
Look what I have left, Angela.
What about these two? Which side do they go on?
2, 6, and 2, 6.
Which one
Going
has the
to
same numerator? Which one has the same denominator?
Denominator.
Awesome.
The numerator is the same.
Okay.
Numerator.
Now we have some sentence stems below that we're going to fill out.
Goes in there.
The first sentence, we're going to do the same numerator.
Okay.
These fractions all have the blank size unit fraction. So let's look at these denominators. 2 and 6. 2 and 6. Will they have the same size unit fraction or different unit fractions? Angela says different, right? A half and a 6 are different parts. Let's check 7 and 8. Will 7ths and 8ths have the same size unit fraction or different size unit fractions? Maberly? She's saying no, they're going to be different. Okay. 1/5 and 1/6. Will they be the same size unit or different size unit fractions?
Will they be the same size?
Different, right? So over here,
Same size or different?
all of these fractions have different size unit fractions. We're going to type the word different into our sentence stem. These fractions all have different size unit fractions.
Go.
Type it into your text box and we're going to move it into our sentence stem. On the other side,
This side.
we have 1/8 and 1/5. Nope,
Right?
start over. 1/8 and 5/8. Will they have the same size unit fraction or different? It will be the same. Look at 3/6 and 1/6. Same unit fraction or different?
3/6.
Same unit fraction. They both have 6. 2/4 and 4/4. Same unit or different unit? Okay, so our word is
Will be the
same. These fractions all have the same size unit. Type it in and move it into our sentence stem to complete the word. Same.
And we're going to change that word.
Angela, you can also look at mine. I'm showing you how. The same. Good work. Move it in to complete our sentence.
Go ahead.
Same. It's not letting me.
Mhm.
What's it doing?
I know you keep clicking when I'm trying to do something.
Miss Renee,
Yes, ma'am.
I noticed that A is greater than the
Then 7. Yep, remember the bigger the denominator, the smaller the piece.
yeah, that sounds really bad.
It is really backwards. You're so right, Angela. All right, join me on number 6, please. Slide number 6, show me a thumbs up when you've got it and you're ready to do number 6 with the class.
Okay. Go 6.
Awesome.
Okay.
Waiting for camera friends. Awesome, awesome. Yes, thank you.
Thumbs up. There you go.
Jonathan, Kaylee, you got it?
6. Look. You're on the same
Okay.
one she is, right?
It's hard to tell when people are not following directions.
You're on the same one.
We have 2 models. We are going to fill in the correct symbol and we're going to justify our answer. Remember, justify is a word that means explain yourself, prove it. Prove it. And we use our math vocabulary to prove our knowledge. Here we go. Take a look at these 2 models. What is the name of the fraction shown on the left? Looking at the pink highlighted. What is the name of the fraction on the left?
On the left.
Gloria, what would that be?
How many
Three,
pieces are
Okay, so right here we have 3
3,
1/5.
1/5. Okay.
Awesome. Take a look at the green model on the right.
what would this be?
Looking at the green shaded parts, what would be the name of the fraction?
What fraction is
I'm
that?
happy to call on you when you're ready. Maberly?
Applicator eat
No, not yet. How many? What's this fraction? The green one.
and
Our numerator is 4. What's our denominator?
This one was 3.
And how do we read that, Maberly? 4/5. Excellent. Good. 4/5. Okay, we're going to fill in the correct symbol. So I noticed that our denominators are the
Which
same.
symbol goes in there?
That means our unit fraction is the same. Both have a unit fraction of 1/5 because both have a denominator of 5.
Symbol will we use?
So which one is greater? 3 unit fractions or 4 unit fractions?
make it that way.
Which one would be greater? 3 unit fractions or 4 unit fractions? Jonathan, which one would be greater? 3/5 or
Draw it
4/5?
in here. Like that, okay?
3 unit fractions is bigger than 4 unit fractions.
So we did that. Yeah, you did. Here, you try it.
Look at the shaded parts. Here we have 1, 2, 3 shaded. Over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 shaded. Right?
Denominator.
When the denominators are the same,
Oh, real.
you just have to count which one has more parts. So these denominators are the
Draw
same.
it in there. Oh, you're all good.
See that? So 4/5 has more parts, okay? So our symbol
You drew it down here, fine.
shows that 3/5 is less than 4/5.
Draw it up here in the circle.
Now we need to justify our answer. Let's type it in
Saying what we said.
using math vocabulary.
Is this one? Go. This one.
Both models have the same unit fraction.
Draw it this way.
When both models have the same unit fraction, we can look at the numerator to tell us which one has more parts. Which one has more parts? The numerator shows us. Yep, I'll slow down a little bit.
Okay, you ready? Read what she wrote. Do that.
Both models have the same unit fraction. The numerator shows us which has more.
I got it. Both models of fractions, which has more.
Check that you have math vocabulary in your explanation. When you justify your thinking, you need to use math vocabulary. On Zoom. Today for independent work. On slide number 7, it gives you some directions. It says, make sure you watch the instructions. Fill in the correct comparison symbol. Justify your answer using the vocabulary. You are going to complete problems just like we did together. You're going to sort them into the correct category or column, and then you're going to fill in the correct word to explain your thinking. On numbers 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, actually 13 is different, you're going to continue using the correct symbol and justify your thinking using math vocabulary like we practiced together. Slide number 13 is doing a quick comparison. Can you use the correct symbol to fill in when you compare fractions? Okay. Slide number 14 is where you reflect. How did you do today with our criteria for learning? How successful are you with your work today? If you have questions, I will be on at 12:45 to answer any questions on Zoom. Okay.